Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back with another Viking Orations video today. Hadn't really planned on doing this, but I just got done watching my buddy Bonno's take on the new Lords of Chaos movie, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to kind of do a response, throw in my 2 cents in all of this. I've also seen Mike Seatown's video talking about this movie, and I've read reviews of people that have seen it. And a lot of the stuff that Mike and Bono talked about in their reviews, I pretty much agree with. For those of you who may not know what the Lords of Chaos movie is, it is basically the story of mayhem and the events surrounding them, the church burnings, the murders that took place. Ultimately, of course, Euronymous, his murder, and his interactions with Varg and everything. And, anybody that is even halfway aware of black metal or any metalhead in general kind of pretty much already knows what this story is. And yeah, it does make for a really good movie. I mean, it would make a killer movie if somebody, took the time, got their facts straight, got all the people that were involved to really kind of help do this movie. It would make for a great movie. But this is not that great of a movie. It wasn't that necessary, I think. I have to agree with Bonno there. It was not a necessary movie to be made. Yeah, I mean, it does have some good parts of it. I will give him that. The guy who played Dead in the movie did an excellent job. I think he really conveyed Dead's character quite well. I mean, you hear about how unstable he was and how he was, so out there, and this guy really conveyed that well. I mean, when you picture Dead, you imagine as you're watching this guy, this is exactly how he was. And the other thing they done right was Dead's suicide scene and Euronymous' murder scene were brutal as fuck. I mean, gory, and then when you read up on what happened, you just imagine, okay, this is exactly what it probably looked like. This is how bad it actually was, and I think they conveyed that quite well. The whole soundtrack for the movie was actually quite good. I mean, they tried to get a lot of the band's music that was involved in the film, the whole thing, what the movie is based around. They tried to get them to let them use their music, and a lot of them said, fuck you. I said, no, I don't want anything to do with this movie. I don't want you using my music. No. And when the people involved in what this movie is supposed to be about don't want anything to do with it, that kind of gives you an indication of how big of a turd this must turn out to be. And like I said, it was not. Overall, I think it was okay, but it was not that great. On to the bad stuff about this movie, and there's a lot. Yeah, Blackthorn. He, the guy who drove Varg to meet Euronymous, and where he ultimately killed him, was really made to be a complete idiot. I mean, they made him seem like he had no brain in his head. He was just this, complete moron that did whatever he was told by Varg, and I just think they didn't do him justice. I believe even Mike in his review mentions, kind of the same thing. Varg himself, I think because he wanted nothing to do with this movie, that they pretty much decided, fine, we're just going to make you like the, biggest idiot that there is, next to Blackthorn, obviously. But, they made him look like, especially during the interview scene where he was talking to the reporter, like this big, nerdy Dungeons and Dragons playing guy who was trying his hardest to be hardcore and really didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. And just, the way they portrayed him, you could tell they were just basically doing it to, kind of get back at him for not wanting to participate with their movie. And yeah, the ones that, this whole movie is about, yeah, they were young, they were dumb, but the way they portrayed him, I just felt was kind of over-exaggerated. There's a lot of party scenes going on, there's a lot of sex scenes in the movie, and it's just like, okay, was that really necessary? Okay, yeah, the party scene you see, you say, oh yeah, here's a bunch of these crazy, Norwegian metalheads, this is how they party and stuff like that. Okay, you can kind of get that. Yeah, you imagine, yeah, that's how they were, but they just really over-exaggerated everything, I think. And it just kind of seemed unnecessary the way they showed everything, especially all the sex scenes that they were showing. It's just like, was that really necessary to kind of further the story at all here? Some of the things I think they could have really fleshed out a little bit more as far as some of the characters and some of the story. And another thing is that this supposed girlfriend of Euronymous, which has always been kind of, I guess, one of the rumors of why Var killed him, was this, jealousy over a girlfriend or some shit. And apparently this girl never even existed. I mean, according to Var, which, you can take what he says with a grain of salt if you want, because a lot of people think he's just this racist psychopath that, we can't really believe anything he says. But then, I mean, who's to say he's not right? I mean, he was there, we were not. And, yeah, supposedly, I mean, this girl never even existed. So, that's just one of many things that this guy that made this film got wrong. And he didn't know his facts. And it's like, Bonno, I think, said it best in his review where he said, this guy probably went to a Wikipedia page or something and he picked out the most brutal parts of this story and decided to take those, make a film, and just kind of ride around it and make up his own shit every now and then. Because, a lot of the stuff that was supposedly said, supposedly was actually never said. Things that happened a certain way in the film didn't happen that way. Like they showed, Euronymous cutting his hair and everything before Var kills him. And it's like, yeah, that didn't happen, supposedly. I guess when the autopsy was being done, they cut his hair, which is usually how they do things. They, will cut a person's hair off so they can see if there's any wounds because they saw the big-ass wound in his forehead. So, well, let's see if he's got any other ones. So they cut his hair to find more wounds. And it's like, okay. Another thing is, this is supposed to be, taking place in Norway, but yet there's no real accents on anybody who's playing any of these parts. You would expect that even though most of the actors are English, if not all of them, they would at least try to put on an accent like they were a Norwegian that was trying to speak English. Because if you look at any interview with a Norwegian artist or anybody that's Norwegian, period, and they're speaking English, 99.9% of the time, you can hear their accent, and you can tell they're not a normal, American speaking English here. That's kind of a nitpicky thing, I guess, but still, if you're supposed to be, Norwegian, you should at least do something with that. And you really didn't even hear anybody speak Norwegian in the fucking film. And just overall, I think the whole movie was just rushed. They wanted to get this film out there and tell this, quote unquote, true story of mayhem and true Norwegian black metal, and they fucked up. They fucked up. It's not accurate at all. If you've done any kind of research on this, and like I said, when you got people that were involved in this whole scenario and they have nothing to do with this movie, they want no part of it, don't even want to be near it, that should tell you something. I mean, you're better off watching a documentary that is more accurate where they actually talk to the people involved than you are watching this movie, I think. I mean, overall, like I said, it's okay, but it is far from great. And whether I will actually ever watch it again, I do not know. But, yeah, that's just my 2 cents. And probably seems like a lot of rambling, but yeah, overall, okay movie. But yeah, far from essential watching, in my opinion. So that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.